Hey Bat fans, Luke here back with another video, and today we're going to take a look at another Batman classic, this one being Batman The Last Arkham, which is written by Alan Grant with art by Norm Brayfogle. Now, Batman The Last Arkham appeared in issues 1 through 4 of the title The Shadow of the Bat, and actually launched the series. And Shadow of the Bat, when you look at the time this release, this is in the early 90s, we had obviously the main Batman title, you had Detective Comics, and you had Legends of the Dark Knight, and then you had Shadow of the Bat. Whereas Legends took a look at stories in Batman's early career in the first year of it. And while Batman was obviously the main showrunner of the series, and Detective kind of focused on detective elements and kind of like the time away the stories are being told during the Batman publication time period, actually the main title. Shadow of the Bat was meant to be more of a study into the minds of the characters within the Batman universe. And it's kind of tough to tell which character in The Last Arkham actually is supposed to centralize on. Some might say it's Batman. Some might say it's Jeremiah Arkham. Some might say it's Victor Zsasz. It's kind of tough to tell. And as the story kind of goes on through these 4 issues of Shadow of the Bat, you kind of get kind of like a deep lens into each one of them, actually, to be perfectly honest. Maybe not as much Batman as maybe Jeremiah Arkham per se, but neither here nor there. It would make sense, you would think, it would be Arkham just off the title, but maybe not so. Victor Zsasz, this is the launching pad of Victor Zsasz. This is where Victor Zsasz gets his origin. And in this story, you see kind of the character get kind of fleshed out. Now, a lot of people would criticize, not really a lot of people, but when you hear the story Batman The Last Arkham, you'll hear the criticism that this was a ripoff of Silence of the Lambs. Now, there has been places where Alan Grant has kind of refuted this claim that this was a ripoff of Silence of the Lambs. Mainly his main response is he never saw it when he wrote this story. Mainly that he really does not like a whole lot of horror and violence, so he didn't watch Sounds of the Lambs, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, things of that nature. But he kind of gives credit to the birth of Victor Zsasz, and mainly this story, based off of a scholarly publication, which I can't remember the name of the book he was talking about, but I think the myth of mental illness. That's what it was, which was written by Thomas M. Zsasz. So the author of the story, the kind of not really the story, the psychological basis of the story. He kind of gave credit to the character Victor Zsasz. But the one thing he kind of went home about it, he's actually, if you read Shadow of the Bat and Collector Trade, we'll talk about this in a minute. In the opening, Alan Grant mentions about a story about this pigeon that kind of parallels Batman The Last Arkham. And it's actually mentioned in the story that, I mean, if you can kind of control the behavior of someone you can control the mind. He mentions a story about a pigeon when the pigeon would walk by this monument and someone would give it a real good scare, and then the pigeon would associate the scare, the trauma, to the monument. So I don't want to go too deep in the story, but basically what happened is that there was that negative association, that monument with a bad experience. But then if you take away the bad experience, you won't have the negative association with the monument. And this is kind of what Last Arkham is a little bit about here in this story. It's that Jeremiah's Arkham's attempt to readjust the mind of the criminals of Gotham to change the behavior. And what happens in the beginning of the story is that this is quasi the introduction of Jeremiah Arkham into the modern continuity, in that he inherits his the Arkham Asylum proper from his uncle, who, if you read Arkham Asylum, the one by Grant Morrison, he went nuts, and he was actually the first patient, sort of, quote unquote, sort of, in Arkham Asylum. So Jeremiah gets is endowed with Arkham Asylum, and he chooses to totally refurbish it, if back in better words. As you see here, we open it up. One of the first things he does is that when he builds it, he creates, you see the actual part of the asylum right here. I don't know if you can see it that well. But when he gets rebuilt, it's not like a normal prison like you would see it. It's all kind of built in circles and confinements. So it just gives a different type of housing treatment plan area for these the criminals of Gotham. But in addition to that, he really does spend a lot of time investing in the upgrade of the security of the asylum. Security measure, you'll see later, a microwave motion detector. So really, locked doors really don't matter much in this new asylum. So, and with that, you see Jeremiah really go into not in pain. That's a bad way of saying it. In detail, maybe that might be a better way of saying it, of how he is going after the treatment of all these criminals. He mentions, you see his scarecrow, he uses fear to go after a way to change his action, his negative behavior. Who else do we see? Open up. Cornelius Stirk. Again, he's talking about nightmares affecting his behavior. Well, Jeremiah has come up with a medical plan to get rid of the nightmares. He said, hey, you'll sleep, but we'll wake you up when you're having nightmares. Remove the negative, the stimulus, what's impacting the mind, change of behavior. And one person you do see in here is obviously Victor Zsasz. Now, keep in mind, this is DC at the time really trying to hype up Zsasz. So, and how do you do that? You kind of give him more, I don't want to say, I'm not going to go there. They give him more credit they probably should have, just to make him more of a formidable threat to Batman. And in doing so, they kind of do paint him like Hannibal Lecter type character, in that he's in a cell within a cell, always let out to go to sleep, and then he mentions things about, killing and maybe inferring about eating members of guards in the past. So you do see somewhat of a Hannibal Lecter tie to Victor Zsasz, but it's only real subtly. I mean, if you really read into it, maybe give them that argument more credit than probably what it's due. But you do see a little bit in there, and Jeremiah does interact a lot with Victor, and even takes a little bit of some advice from him as far as how to deal with certain people inside the asylum. Now, you look at the cover, and you might think that's a misleading cover. Batman and Arkham Asylum. What? Well, that's not totally misleading. It's actually the truth. It's exactly what you're going to see in these pages. And this is where I give Alan Grant a lot of credit. He does weave a good story in here, and that how it opens up is that while Victor's in an Arkham out in Gotham, there is a lot of murders that are going on that fits Victor Zsasz's MO. But Commissioner Gordon and Batman are kind of stuck here in that they're trying to figure out how this could be. It's like all these Victor Zsasz murders are going on, but Victor Zsasz in Arkham Asylum. This just can't be. And so they actually go to Arkham Asylum and they talk to Jeremiah Arkham. This is actually the first interaction between Commissioner Gordon Batman and Jeremiah Arkham in modern continuity. And Jeremiah just dismisses it. He's like, no, this can't happen. My defenses and security measures in this asylum are too good. Can't happen. No. But you do see that there's a twist in this, in that in the beginning of the story, the contractor and Jeremiah actually interact a lot in between each other, and the fact that the contractor has access to this project, he uses it kind of as personal gain, but that's neither here nor there. You do see a twist in here to that. Again, Batman and Commissioner Gordon kind of stumped, and they're trying to figure out how this could be. All these Victor Zsasz murders could be happening while Victor Zsasz is in Arkham Asylum. So Batman contrives a way, and I'm not going to totally spoil it. I thought it was initially. What the hell? I'll say that. So when they're going to this one murder scene, Batman kind of gets into an argument with one of the lieutenants, and in doing so, kills one of the policemen. And as a result of that, Batman gets arrested and thrown into Arkham Asylum. Now, that said, we'll just go ahead and just kind of get this out in the open, because as you're reading it, and this is kind of one of the negative parts of the story, is that you can kind of see it happening, the plan behind all this, as it was kind of going on. But yeah, it's a ploy. It's just a way for Batman to infiltrate Arkham Asylum, and as a inmate to kind of see how, if there's any possible way Jeremiah or Victor Zsasz is doing anything outside of Arkham Asylum. And in doing so, you see a lot of good interactions between Batman and Jeremiah, doctor and patient in here. And while this is happening, you see Robin, Tim Drake, make a cameo, as well as Nightwing. Nightwing actually breaks into Arkham, try to help break out Batman. But in doing so, there's some chaos that goes out, but the breakout kind of doesn't go as planned. But eventually, you see Jeremiah does get kind of ticked off that Batman's trying to escape, and he throws him into kind of like isolation cell, but it's not really isolation cell. It's let's get all of the criminals of Arkham Asylum together to attack Batman as punishment. And Batman kind of forces it off, and does, in a way, kind of bring up the second bad part I thought of the story. Was the cameos. I thought there came here. You see Joker, and Joker was really kind of played off as a wimp toward the end. This felt more for shock value rather than kind of really playing a major part of the story. But neither here nor there. Um, Nightwing does go back and try to get after Zsasz until they find out. Commissioner Gordon kind of puts two and two together, what's going on, and that Victor Zsasz is operating in and out of Arkham to kill these people outside in Gotham. And in doing so, you see the epic clash between Batman and Arkham, Victor Zsasz, deep into the sewers of below Arkham Asylum, and eventually gets caught. That's pretty much the story. I don't want to spoil too much, but that said, that's the general plot. Overall, again, the writing, I like the overall premise of the story. I really do. The study of Jeremiah Arkham in this was really well done. Probably the first half of the story is kind of a deep dive into Jeremiah's past, how he came to be the doctor he is, and kind of his vision of how he wants Arkham Asylum to be, and kind of looking at it, this is sort of like the relaunch of Jeremiah into the modern continuity and Arkham Asylum as well. You have to tear down the past to start the new, and that's exactly what he does it here. And I kind of enjoyed that. Victor Zsasz's character, again, it had some good points and some bad points. I will say his kind of plot, how he's doing it, or actually who's committing the murders, becomes blatantly obvious at some point before it's kind of like showed to you, like, yeah, this is Zsasz. And while the plot of him, how he does it and how he gets the access to do it, I thought was pretty well done. I just still think it's you see it coming before it is revealed to you in the story. So that I kind of have to knock it. And lastly, I thought the ending was kind of rushed. Maybe not rushed, but the ending just felt too. I'm not gonna say it's not like a contrivance. It wasn't convenient, but it was kind of easy, and I was expecting a little bit more, especially as in terms of Jeremiah. Well, it does kind of get the hey from Batman, hey, I got my eye on you type of thing. I wish there was a little bit more to it than that. But that said, it did kind of wrap up pretty neatly. The art here I thought was really well done. The best image, I swear, throughout this, the one that kind of sticks to me as I was rereading this in preparation for this, was the last page. And you see, I'll make sure, the picture of Jeremiah as he's looking into the mirror, which kind of is a reflection of him and his uncle. But this one image right here of him and his eyes just looking yellow and red, just kind of just hit like a demonic theme to it, and almost remind me of the Joker in Endgame, just how he just looked creepy like that. It just kind of gave off a creepy image. I just thought it was awesome by Brady Fogel. Other than that, I thought the art it's indicative of its times. It's early 90s, and you'll see some parts like right here. Well, I thought it was okay to look at, but you see some pretty innovative panel layouts here, and just kind of way how things were done. But you see some really good Batman scenes in here. Some of the parts kind of sketchy, maybe not as in detail as you think you would want it to be, but still really well done. Get some images there that kind of really does accentuate the stories being told. But yeah, you do see some really cool panel layouts in here. The Batman images himself, him incarcerated in Arkham Asylum, some of them are actually really good. The fight scenes in here, I really do enjoy. Trying to get to the one where Zsasz, A lot different. We saw him in the New 52, by the way. That's kind of risque scene right there. But you do see some good Batman images in here. Nightwing, yeah. Yeah, this is if you're a fan of that era of Nightwing. Me, not so much. Not really a big fan of that costume, but neither here nor there. I mean, I'm still trying to get to the Batman versus all the rogues fight. Yeah, so here we go. Some of the designs are good. The Joker design kind of makes you think it's Tim Sale's version, just a little bit not as bad with the teeth though, but still pretty decent. I thought the colors were nice. It had some dark parts when it needed it to kind of accentuate the story, and kind of good color palette. The inks weren't very saturated. And well, I think if I really had to criticize the art in here by Brayfogle is some of the scenes. The art was really sketcy, whereas kind of could have used more of a flushed out execution in the image he was trying to go after. But that said, Batman: The Lost Arkham, it was a good read. I think if you read it, you won't be disappointed. Unfortunately, in a trade collection in itself, I think it is now out of print. So that's the bad. That's another bad of the story. But the plus, I think, shadow the bad as far as finding it in single issues. Not that might not be all that hard. But the best thing is that DC has started recollecting Shadow of the Bat in a trade in itself. They did Volume 1 in June of last year, I believe. And Volume 1 collects issues 1 through 12. So you get Last Arkham. You get a story called The Black Spider, which is awesome. Just an awesome story. Then you get, who else? You get like three more stories. You get the Human Flea, which is the last two, which was, it was okay. Try to remember. As I'm trying to go through these stories, I'm going to say I highly recommend, there's Black Spider. You pick this trade up. Black Spider is just an awesome one shot. It really is good. The Ugly American, which is another good one. This has art by obviously Norm Brayfogle. It has Tim Sale in it. The Misfits I thought was kind of the bummer of the story. It kind of has like a campy feel to it. But it has the Tim Sale art. So Killer Moth story amongst others. Counterman. Trying to think. What other story? The Thane of Gotham. It's another one shot. Highly recommend this, but this is actually very obtainable out there. So if you can't get the collection, the Batman: The Last Arkham in itself, you can get access to it. And actually, one I kind of prefer simply because, again, stories like the Black Spider, the Ugly American, it's just awesome one shots. That really does kind of hit you in the gut a little bit. So overall, Batman: The Lost Arkham, I would give it, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. Interesting story, but some of the things that are kind of flaws to it, it will kind of stick out to you. But still, good read. Just one I don't think I would kind of rush out to get if you came across it. This, don't worry about. If you see this, though, pick it up. Batman: Shadow of the Bat, Volume 1. Pick that up. Definitely well worth that. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Batman: The Last Arkham. If you have read it, hit me up in the comments below, kind of what you thought about it, and kind of go back and forth, bat chat about it, and kind of go from there. So next video, probably be another back issue haul video. I got a couple in the mail coming. Picked up some pretty decent ones, so show that off. sometime whenever I can get a couple minutes to do so. So anyway, until next video, take care.